I'm Jamie Thompson. I'm the drill writer for the Glassmen Drum and Bugle Corps.
And I'm Brian Hickman. I'm the executive director, and we're here to share some of our thoughts and ideas behind our 2001 program, IMAGO.
IMAGO, which essentially means strength from within, is a thematic device to give meaning to the show for the members themselves.
Certainly meaning for the members, but I think the initial idea behind IMAGO was really to leave it open-ended. I mean, the entire show is about emotion and contrasts and colors, and give the audience an opportunity to create their own and their own reflections on what they think the show is about and how it feels to them.
This huge opening set, which the M&M staff was thrilled about having to clean diagonals this big. We just, wanted to make a huge impression right off the line.
We start off with, we like to think, one of our strengths, the percussion section. And Colin McNutt, our percussion arranger, did a great job of really kind of putting together some different ideas based on Hinastera's Panambi, his ballet. He's utilizing some different sounds in the pit, different lengths of notes on bass drums, on tam-tams, all kind of leading up to this one primal moment in the horn line.
Here what we tried to just put together was this huge wedge. You'd think you'd be getting this kind of classic drum corps hit, and we tried to do something a little bit different there with that primal movement, something that would kind of be evocative of the music.
Not necessarily pretty music here. Lots of energy, lots of contrast. As I mentioned before, this show is about emotion. And we finally get to this point here where we're foreshadowing the Oboe theme from the end of the show and trying to give you that classic drum corps moment before we kick off some of the exciting things to come.
I guess visually what we were trying to do from the get-go was just integrate all the different elements, the percussion, the color guard, so that you'd be looking at one complete visual thought here, even when in segments, all of them just relating to each other and evolving directly.
We've picked South American music this year, and not necessarily Mexican hat dance or anything you might be used to, but more symphonic in nature, and some of the things that characterize that music is the triple against duple kind of feel, 3 against 2, the energy, the rawness, the rhythmic complexity. And Colin McNutt, as I mentioned, our percussion arranger, has done a great job of organizing a lot of those sounds, front to back, but also kind of generating and moving this ostinato around the field.
After that huge ensemble statement, again, we've basically taken that apart, and now we're building it in a totally different way. The low brass voicings up front now reassembling themselves to come together and prepare for the next statement. Here we're just filling the field, setting up the next thought, where the low brass will come in with the first segment of color guard.
And as Jamie mentioned, it is segmented, and what's happening is as the melody is moving around the field in the segments, there is that constant ostinato that I mentioned that's also getting moved around. This is one of the tougher parts of the show for us right here, because that melody and rhythmic complexity is it's moving from one side of the field to the other, and then it's exposing these stop-and-go kind of moments, leading right up to the ensemble moment right about here.
I think we probably spent lots and lots of time on that, pulling that all together from an ensemble standpoint.
I know we did. This is, once again, it's kind of breaking up here in the different segments. This is really showing off now the 2 against 3, and you can see it in the feet, in the way they're marching, and the way it's segmented in the drill.
Now we're about to come back and hit the heartbeat there just for a second, then it goes immediately away.
Yep. And then kind of moving to this last push towards the end. And what you're going to see here is it really starts moving rhythmically and metrically modulating. It's getting faster and faster, and the intensity's building. It's going somewhere. It's keep moving and moving.
Once again, the element comes together and then breaks apart in a totally different way.
And as we're getting closer, it's more coming at you.
Just
all
coming down
the way.
The field.
Yeah, right up to here. Oh, and that's not the end.
Again, introducing the primal movement choreography that you saw earlier in the program, kind of just trying to wrap up that production.
That entire first selection was the Impetuosamente from Hinastera's Pampeana No. 3. Our next selection is entitled Meditation by Bruno Blauth, the Argentinian composer. And as I mentioned before, the entire show is about contrast. We went from this very evil, brutal, very rhythmic thing, and now it's a little more controlled. It's much prettier. We're setting a whole new feel here in the pit. Different wood sounds and the colors, and of course our fabulous flugelhorn soloist, Kevin Creasy. He's actually the horn sergeant. He's been with the Corps for a couple years, but he just did a great job with this.
Visually, myself and Michael Cesario, Sal Salas, Mark Metzger, we all loved this music so much. We thought it sounded so fresh. We wanted to try to do something that looked new and different. We were able to create this free form that did have some structure enough to create a vessel for the color guard to use as a stage for movement.
I should also mention a great job that Bruce McConnell did, our brass arranger. He's done a wonderful job of creating some different tone colors with some non-traditional drum corps combinations, things like euphoniums and second mellophones, a little darker sonorities. And he really brought this piece to the table, excited about it, and I think all of us really kind of fell in love with it as it happened.
There's some great shots in here too, especially of Kevin, where you can see the audience in the mirror. I think that looks really cool.
Yep. And as I said here's some of those colors we talked about. Completely different change of pace here. You know, the idea behind the meditation, we really wanted to create something completely different as a ballad. This is a little more standard. This gets closer to perhaps what the community is used to ballad-wise, but I think it's exciting how we actually got to this point in the music.
And again, what we tried to do visually was create a stage for the color guard. They're obviously in this very vivid uniform, which contrasts with the core, and therefore you're just looking at one visual image here.
I think also one of Mark's, and said Mark Metzger, the color guard designer's intent, in terms of contrast, is as you see, there's no equipment, there's no color. So it's really the music for the music's sake, really standing on its own. Kevin, he's doing a great job with this. He was fantastic just about every night from day one back in February when he got it. And we're back into that feel from beginning, ABA kind of thing, as it just kind of carries off into the sunset, so to speak. I find myself just sitting here listening to it. What great colors the front ensemble created, and just kind of winds down. And it goes off. That's Holly. You saw her, Holly Carey, our dance soloist. She did a wonderful job with this.
And we really just tried to open up the stage and clear things away.
Now this is all leading back to the back corner. We've got another mellophone soloist back there that you can hardly hear, but he'll be back later and I'll let you know who that is. And then out of nowhere, from the other corner, comes this percussion section, this massive line of percussion. As I mentioned earlier, Colin McNutt, our percussion arranger, did a great job of just organizing sounds. And this is once again from the Panambi. And right now, what he's doing is he's kind of exploring all the wood and membrane type sounds. And this is all leading up to what appears to many to be a percussion feature, but the reality is it's a little more of just the percussion is playing the melodic line. And there's some interjections visually and musically from the horn line, but for the most part, the percussion are carrying what's going on here.
We're basically setting up this huge moving frame. Again, the horn line creating a vessel, in this case, for the percussion and the color guard. I think what the color guard does really successfully here is the different tension and speed that they explore with time worked really well in conjunction with the battery.
I think another thing, Jamie, one of the wonderful things he did drill-wise is from an integration standpoint. This drum line is running all over the place, and the color guard is too. And a lot of, for the most part, nothing would work visually if the color guard wasn't a part of it. A lot of this stuff does not stand alone. It's designed that way.
Now the percussion is just charging forward here to the end, pushing everything out of the way.
Once again, that contrast, that was the take 'em down easy piece. Kids got a real charge out of playing that. They had a lot of fun. It was very violent, but a lot of energy. And now, once again, completely different change of pace here. A little more chorale-like. You hear a beautiful soloist here, Jesse Fox, stating the melody from Pavana, the Oboe piece here in our closer. And what appears to be, they're starting another ballad of sorts. And the reality is we're going to show off our horn line a little bit as this Accelerando happens across the field.
Again, what we're doing is setting up the weapons for a feature, bringing the horns together for what will be kind of a classic drum corps hit with lots of notes.
And there are those notes. And just kind of setting the tone here for what's to come. Theoretically, we've been leading up to that melody all through the show, too. This breaks apart in segments, and we start exploring the piece a little bit. And one thing you should notice, very soloistic, a lot of lines on top of one another, dovetailing, and visually Jamie has portrayed it as such, as the melody's moving around in different pods. It's going that way musically, too.
These pods are moving around a moving grid of color guards, so it was kind of a way for us to do that in a slightly different fashion. Again, obviously all the elements coming back in together for the hit.
Yep, and finally comes together. Only to break apart again and start a new build here of sorts. But for the most part, start wrapping up where we're headed here. The entire show is kind of headed up to this moment, letter K in the books.
Obviously, the triangle motif is something we do a lot in the show. It's on our shield, it's on our logo, and this was sort of the kind of culmination of everything that you'd seen before that in the show.
And classic drum corps, parking and playing and letting people have it. And if you've noticed, actually going through the show, there isn't a lot of parking. These kids are moving and playing, and that's how we make music and how we create effect with the Glassmen. And here we go again.
This move that we called the slippery noodle, again, a way to break apart, do the triangle motif, and, just get the members just, trucking around the field one last time.
Yep, and this is one of the hardest parts of the show because we've been pushing them for 10 minutes. And Sal Salas adds the 360 at the end of that. But they're going, and they just keep going and playing, and they've been moving, and let me tell you, these kids are exhausted. They did a fantastic job with this.
And just bringing them down the front so they could just, hit it home at the end.
Sal Salas and Michael Cesario are our program coordinators, and they certainly had much to do with the genesis behind a lot of what we're performing and doing. We had a great season, and it really, really showed in the members' faces, and certainly real excited for what's to come.
Thanks to all the members of the Glassmen for making this such an incredible season.
And thank you, the audience, for listening to us and letting us share some of our ideas and thoughts behind our 2001 production.